In this video, you're gonna see plumbing, electric, drywall, tape and float, all at the Lamborghini of Kitchens. This is gonna be a good one, so check it out.
We just finished up framing inspection with our engineer. So for this one, we had a few corrections that we needed to do. So on the edge of our beams, we need to add one more row of our lag screws. And then we need on the other side a few as well. And then for this in particular, our guys missed our line up here. So we're about 8 inches off, but that 8 inches is now requiring us to extend this 3 2x12 header all the way across. So if we extend this header all the way across, we'll actually be able to play with this, how far we want it to go out or in, and then we'll play with our cabinetry to make sure it extends all the way out to wherever we decide the opening should be. So it's not the end of the world. We're gonna put 3 2x12 header up there, and then we're gonna add a little bit more screws, and then we are good to go. Another thing that I wanted to touch on really quick is why we left this vent just sitting here. When we did our plumbing make safe, right, everything has been capped, all the water lines were capped in the ceiling, but we actually left this vent and demoed the wall around it. The reason we did that is because this vent goes directly out the roof to the open air. So if we were to just cut this, kill it, then we would have a direct route for water to get in here. And we've had a lot of rain lately. So we decided to leave this intact until we're actually ready to go ahead and relocate it. So that way it's only open for a short period of time. You know, something else that someone suggested here on site is maybe we cut it and cap it. But with that being said, you risk that actually filling up all the way. And then when we do decide to cut it, you either drop all of that water or it starts to overflow on the outside and can start to kind of get into nooks and crannies up there on the roof. So I thought that was an interesting point made by our plumber. We are getting started on our rough-ins. We have outlined everything on the floor. As you can see, Jose, the artist of the bunch, he measured everything out, but we have lighting and electric in orange, and then we have our plumbing in red. We measured based on all of our cabinetry plans. Our cabinetry plans are always the most accurate. They're, you know, that's exactly how they're gonna be built. So I like using those when we get them rather than our architectural for remodels like this. But basically what we did is we went ahead and marked out all of our can lights on the floor to give the electricians a reference. And then we also marked where all of our sinks are going. So we have a sink here, we have our dishwasher labeled, we have our sink in the island, we have our gas and the center point in our range where our pot filler will be. He's about to mark our pot filler height. And then we also marked our sink in the butler's pantry. So this just helps the guys. Obviously it's not foolproof, but it helps the plumbers. Again, we have to verify, the plumbers have to verify, but marking it out does allow us to keep the process moving rather than going through a bunch of phone calls of where things are going. We need specs, and it always helps to have a set of our plans on site as well. So what we ended up doing, if you could see here, is we ended up making this doorway an arch to match the existing. We took a little bit of cabinetry space here, moved our fridge over, and made it more kind of aesthetically pleasing. Our client was really big on making it feel like it was already part of the home. And we have 4 arches that are here, and we didn't have a big enough space to make it match these areas. So this is what we decided to do, is arch this space, expand it just a little bit, sacrifice some cabinetry, and now it looks just absolutely amazing. Basically, we finished all of our utilities behind the wall. We have a few things to do before drywall, one being low voltage. Basically just putting the existing low voltage back where it was. We have our low voltage tech coming in. They're gonna trace some of these wires, figure out what we can delete and what will be put back. So we have 2 speakers right here that need to be remounted. We have some data that needs to be brought back over here. And then really everything else can just be deleted. We just have to make sure that prior to us closing up drywall, we didn't nick any wires, put things where they weren't supposed to be. So that's basically what we're gonna be doing this week. And then drywall gets delivered towards the end of the week. On this channel, obviously we show you guys the pretty stuff, the amazing details that we do, but we also wanna show you stuff that just happens throughout construction and be as transparent as possible. So something happened here, and that something is we cut through a floor truss when we were relocating plumbing. You know, this type of stuff happens. The guys were using a Sawzall instead of a circular saw, and they couldn't set the depth, and they went right through the truss top member. So what we had to do is basically we had to do a traditional truss repair, but this has to get inspected by the engineer. So what we did was we added 2 half-inch pieces of plywood on either side of the cut, and then we did 3 inches on center nails on all the members that intersect this plywood. That's a traditional truss repair, but something people don't think about is the plumbers cut the truss day one. They have to leave. We have to get it repaired. We send it to the engineer. That usually takes about a day for us to get a detail back. Once we get the detail back, we schedule the carpenter. The carpenter comes in, they make the repair, and then we reschedule the plumbers. So something that could have been completed that day and now has to be completed 4 days later. And that's a whole week when it comes to construction. So that did put us a little bit behind. We're gonna try to catch up during drywall. It should be fine, but that's something people don't think about is those tiny little mistakes that can add to the construction timeline. Something that I noticed when we came in here, and it's something super minor, but it's just so much easier to relocate when drywall is off, is we have sconces that were moved in the plans, but the electricians installed them in the original areas. Something as minor as this can lead to sheetrock repair later, touch-up paint. It's just stuff that's really a pain when the clients are trying to move in. They want to get the kitchen done. They want to be back in here and use their beautiful kitchen. And if we don't catch it now, we're going to have to catch it at the end. It's not something that goes away.
As you can see, drywall is up. So this is a huge step for everybody. We love to see it. It starts to feel like a real room. You can start to really visualize the project if you have no experience in construction, and that is one thing our clients are able to do. So when they come in now, they see the space, they see it closed up, and it's just super exciting for everybody. We have inspection on Monday. That is a huge step for us as far as the project is concerned, because one, the client finally gets to see what it'll look like. Two, we get to start focusing on the pretty stuff. And three is we have a draw payment tied to our drywall, which really helps us get excited about the back end of the project. So it's really a good time for everybody. Everybody starts to see the project come together. Once we get it tape floated and painted, it looks like a normal room. And you know, it's just very exciting. So these holes are for plumbing and electrical. So we had some plumbing here in the original layout. We had to move that sink to here. So that same vent that you had here is now in this cavity right here. So now this will be a sink here. We ran new electrical because we do have an island. There's no plumbing in this island, but we did want to make sure that there's electrical there. So we have new electrical here for this island. And then we did the same thing over here. We had to relocate our main kitchen sink into the island here. And what we did is a vent loop. So obviously with an island, we can't have a vent going out the ceiling. So what they allow us to do in this situation is what's called a vent loop. And that's why you see this here. This is a loop. Basically what it does is it ties into the existing vent that's going through this wall here below the subfloor. So the vent comes up, over, down, and ties into the existing vent. So all of this is for our plumbing. So obviously we have to find tie-ins where we can install our 90s, our 45s, the path of least resistance. We don't want to cut open the whole floor. So the guys cut open a little bit at a time to give them access. From this point, we have to do tape and float. So that means that we have to cover up all of our seams. We have to tape all of our seams, float, and then at all of our corners, we're putting our corner bead. Once that's done, we'll go ahead and match texture. This is a hand texture in this house, meaning it's hand trialed. There's no spray texture, there's no orange peel knockdown. It's not a true level 5, it's just a hand texture. This finish is pretty cool. So it's smooth. Technically, you have a paint roll or a nap texture, but you also see all of these lines, and that is from the drywaller's knife. So let's say we have a 9-inch knife or a 6-inch knife. When they do this motion here, it'll actually leave this texture. And it's nice because they don't do it everywhere. So the majority of it does get sanded down, but to give it a nice texture, you can see that they just drag their knife.
Tape and float has begun. Beautiful arches. All our drywall's up. Should have one more day of refining the seams, and then we're on to texture. They got these awesome stilts that they work on. Just allows them to get to higher spaces easier rather than getting up on a ladder and moving it. Kind of circus style, but these guys are masters on these things. They could sprint in those damn near. But they use those stilts basically to be able to reach all of our ceilings, so that way they're not moving ladders, and doing one little section at a time. That's just so much more convenient. And then they use this mudding tool for their corners. So rather than putting mud with a 6-inch knife or your 8-inch knife, they have this tool that basically he can push his mud out of that cylinder up top, and it has its own knife at the very top that allows him to screed all the way from end to end. And then what we'll do is with his knives, he'll go back and clean up those corners. Pretty sweet. These guys are masters at this stuff. And that's what he's doing over here. After he gets done mudding all those corners, he comes with the ladder and cleans those corners up with his 6-inch knives. Pretty sweet.
The guys were patching the floors, so after moving all of our plumbing, electrical, we had to get the subfloor patched. They'll patch just the subfloor so it's safe for everybody to paint and spray. And then once we're done with our first coat of primer, first coat of paint, the floor guys will come back in and they'll patch the actual hardwood, sand and stain everything. And then we'll come back for our walls. This week, we're gonna work heavily on our flooring. So we'll get primed and the ceilings painted today. And then flooring will be the rest of this week and early next week. And then after that, we'll paint the whole place and we're just waiting on cabinets. You know, our timeline is pretty strict on this one, but we're honestly moving. We're making really good progress. I think we're gonna nail it. As always, thanks for watching, guys. We have some crazy details coming up for this project, so you are gonna want to stay tuned. I will see you all in the next one.